Shalom. First thing and foremost, I'm going to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem HaKakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone that rule well. Peace and blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. New as in the gospel abroad, lifting up the the standard of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. This is another lesson through the Spirit. It says, secret plan for U.S. military invasion of major cities revealed. The Kyle Kulinski show, which is from Secular Talk. Basically, he goes into events, political events, things that's happening within the United States government, and these crooked lobbyists, as Esau has been exposed all around. U Small has to get cooked, man. All right, and long story short, they got provisions to come down with great wrath using the military, because I believe that they spent $175 billion on ICE budget, which is set to detain migrants. And now I believe I forgot what they called it, but next month, September, I believe the beginning of the month, the protection status for the migrants, the Haitians, which is the biblical tribe of Levi, their protective status is almost up. So they're getting ready to start entering these cities and going door to door and grabbing you jakes up, man. All right. And we told you before that eventually they're going to start coming down and cracking down on our people. All right. And they're going to need the necessary justification to do it. So therefore, what you're witnessing is paperwork being put in place to justify these mandates, man. OK, so they can be justified on getting you up out of here. OK, there's no coincidence that they set up the likings of Alligator Alcatraz and these different internment camps, and wanted to build prison facilities on the border because they want to lock you jakes up and they want to unalive you, man. Okay, these death camps. So we're witnessing basically the start of Jacob's trouble. I mean, it's plain as day. Right outside of Kansas City, Missouri, 45 minutes outside the city, they're talking about reopening a federal prison to detain migrants out there. And there's been protests about it. But since when does protesting ever stop Esau from doing what he wants to do? Okay, the only how you people gonna see some results is if that big that R word, that revolution you people were talking about that you wanted to do, civil unrest, civil war, which eventually this is gonna plunge people over the edge to the point that people are gonna start to revolt against these systems because, you know, people being starved out, the money is the purchasing power of people's checks have gone down dramatically. Rents are increasing. I mean, people are tired. They're fed up, and they don't want to deal with the shit no more. So henceforth, people are going to start to crash out. So therefore, you got all this crime. And, you know, I believe that Trump was talking about federalizing D.C. due to, what's his name, Big Balls or some shit. Got the shit beat out of him for defending a woman from some gangbangers. And all of a sudden now D.C. is getting ready to be federally mandated under particular draconian orders, and that's going to extol to all 50 states. You know, so they set up these pockets of destruction or distractions, and then they create laws and provisions around them to push their wicked agendas. Oh, a mob of 15 black kids just beat up an elderly old woman, but there's no record of it. Or they may stage some shit, and then they may show it on the news, and people will eat it up. And therefore, Esau will be justified on coming down on the people. Okay, problem, reaction, solution is what we're witnessing. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to play this video and get a couple of precepts. But secret plan for U.S. military invasion of major cities revealed. And don't be surprised if a lot of these so-called ICE troops may be UN troops in disguise. Okay, because I can't just see U.S. Military just rolling and beating the hell out of their people because some dictator fascists told them to do so. So who knows, man? Even then, if they don't do the job, there's a standing military on site or on standby that's willing to get the job done. So regardless, you people in America, it's getting ready to go down on all sides. All right. So these states, these cities eventually will be occupied with troops, and that will be the new norm. Curfew, martial law, OK, buying things in rations. And straight draconian over your lives, man. Mandates to put juice in you, you know, door-to-door searches, mass surveillance, checking what you've been looking at on the internet, your talking points. Eventually, they just going to start coming for people. because they've been doing it all this time, and you people haven't stood up against it. So you're at the point now, it's pretty much too late, you know. But anyway, let's go ahead and listen to what this guy got to say, get a couple of precepts, and prior to the end of this video, I have another video that I'm gonna play that's gonna end the lesson off. So here we go.
Oh, we had Trump illegally federalized the National Guard in California, took them over, and used them to quell like 2 days of protests against the ICE Gestapo. He also sent the Marines into Los Angeles. Now, we got some horrific pictures from that. I mean, we're talking about these parks in the middle of the day, and you have these soldiers going through with these fucking like armored vehicles, totally geared out, wearing bulletproof vests and camouflage and these big machine guns and shit. And it was a show of force. It's a show of intimidation. It's Trump trying to flex on these blue states, saying like, hey, remember who's boss. We do what we want, and you can shut the fuck up about it. So that was horrible enough. Well, guess what? Now we just learned the plan goes a lot deeper than that. So this is in Raw Story. Here it comes. Terrifying leaked Hegseth memo shows more troops to swarm U.S. streets. New reporting based on a leaked briefing memo from a recent meeting between high-level officials in the Department of Homeland Security and the Defense Department sparked fresh warnings on Saturday about the Trump administration's internal plans to increase its domestic use of the U.S. military. According to Greg Sargent of the New Republic, which obtained the memo, the document suggests that Trump's use of the military for domestic law enforcement on immigration could soon get worse. The terrifying memo, which the outlet recreated and published online, with certain redactions that concealed operational and personnel details, provides a glimpse into the thinking of top officials as they seek to involve the Defense Department more deeply in these domestic operations. And it has unnerved experts who believe it portends a frightening escalation. Circulated internally among top Trump officials, TNR reports the memo was authored by Philip Hegseth, the younger brother of U.S. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. The younger sibling, though lesser known by the public than his controversial brother, currently serves as a senior advisor to Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem and acts as DHS liaison officer to the Pentagon. The meeting between DoD and DHS officials and the memo center on Philip Hegseth's push for closer collaboration between the two departments, especially with regard to operations on the ground, like those that happened earlier this year in Los Angeles when National Guard units and later U.S. Marines were deployed in the city to help immigrations and customs enforcement agents and local law enforcement put down local protests sparked by raids targeting immigrants and workers. As Sargent noted in a social media post, strikingly, the memo says straightforwardly that what happened in Los Angeles is the sort of operation that may be necessary, quote, for years to come. As one expert told me, they see Los Angeles as a model to be replicated. To make America safe again, DHS and DOD will need to be in lockstep with each other. And I hope today...
Remember the thing that came out during the time of pandemic was called Operation Lockstep. If brothers can remember that. It was a little something going around years ago, how they was going to declare martial law, because we've been under police state since 9/11. I'll put it to you that way. So when the NDAA Act 2, the National Defense Authorization Act 2 was mandated, basically that gave away the civil freedoms of America, and they've been slowly chipping away at the Constitution ever since. So all you people that say, oh, the Constitution, they don't care about no goddamn Constitution. It's a piece of paper. Okay, they don't care about that, because if they did, they would have been following it. And they haven't been following it. So therefore, the Constitution, you can wipe your ass with it. They don't give a shit about that. Hell, it's illegal to pay income tax too, but you people are still doing it. So, I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, you people ain't going to do a damn thing. You're just going to sit there and complain and go to work and pay your goddamn bills until you on the streets, like the rest of you stupid idiots have been doing. All right, because you don't have no fucking backbones. You weak, you docile, you fat, you lazy, you out of shape. Okay, you don't have the proper etiquette. Your diet is all horrible. You people are through. All right, and honestly speaking, you need to be taken over, because, I mean, you've letting it get this far. You know, the prophets just have this, the luxury of spectating this madness, and we're being subjugated because of you people's ignorance, man. And of course, because, you know, we sinned against the Heavenly Father. But at the end of the day, as long as you people don't do shit, we have to sit back and suffer right along with you. Because we don't, at the end of the day, the Most High is going to do what he going to do. All right, so let's play a little more and I'll get some precepts.
Sets the scene for where our partnership is headed, which also compares transnational criminal gangs and drug cartels to Al-Qaeda. what they're saying here is, get ready, man. This is there's going to be more of this. There's going to be more of this. There's going to be more of this. Department of Defense, Department of Justice, Department of Homeland Security, like military, like let's marry all these national federal forces together, and let's basically invade the United States of America and enforce the will of the president. That is absolutely terrifying. That is absolutely disturbing. That's something that should be off the table in what's supposed to be a constitutional republic and a representative democracy.
They don't care about no damn constitution, man. All right, they break your laws. All the fact that you have a police force, that's against the Constitution. The fact that you have to go to court for Title 4D, that's all a violation of the U.S. Constitution, the law of the land. They don't care about that, man. So when you Jakes want to use it, I mean, you can use it to get yourself out of a jam by all means. But when Jake they get pulled over and I know my constitutional rights, and then the cops bust you upside your head and drag you head first and throw you in jail. Now what? You're in a bigger, more jam. Now, if it works for you, hey, try to pull it off. I'm not saying if you know the laws, then cool. Apostle Paul, he knew how to use the law to work for him, you know. So I mean, it's not bad to know. It's good. Everybody should know their fucking the Bill of Rights. Everybody should know that, you know. But they don't teach the people that because they don't care about that. That's not. They don't. It's not. It does not matter at this point. Okay, that's a done deal. And those those Bill of Rights or constitutional values, that was not written for our people. Okay, that was specifically for the rich elites and the millionaires at that time. Hey, that's not even for the common person. The fact that they can lock you up based on what somebody else said without proving you actually did the shit shows you in a corrupt fucking society. Hell, somebody call a cop on me right now and say I was trying to break into their house. They would literally come in and fucking arrest me without any evidence. And then I got to spend the time in jail being investigated. You know what I'm saying? Investigated, bail out, miss 3-4 days, whatever I got to do. Now I'm behind the 8 ball now. And just to prove my goddamn innocence, man. The only method, the only solution for this place is destruction. That's it. Okay, the corruption ends once this man is taken down. No arguing, no amount of nothing is going to do that, okay? Because this man, he's the devil, and it's just going to continue to go until the Most High gets this nigga out the earth, man. That's the only solution. He has to be literally removed from the picture, and he's getting ready to get taken up out of here any day, all right? So let's go to the book of Ezekiel 21, because people are just... you tribes, you Israelites, you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, man. This is really the Most High coming up against you. And you know what? It's good for you, all right? Martial law needs to be declared, you know, to put you niggas back in your place, man. Because you Jakes, you are completely out your mind. You have completely lost your marbles here. Okay, Jake is a bunch of wild animals, man. So what do you do with a wild animal? You either put it in a cage or you euthanize it. You put it down. And that's exactly what the Most High getting ready to do. He's going to put you niggas down like the wild animals that you are. And he's going to start by allowing these troops to come into these cities, these ghettos. He's going to grab you. He's going to grab your women. He's going to grab your children. He's going to take you to these detention centers. And a lot of you, he's just going to unalive you on the spot. Because the Most High has had enough of you niggas, man, all right? And you know what? Hey, I ain't mad at that. Okay, the Lord is sick and tired of you, sick and tired of playing with you Israelites out here. And those of you too that claim to be Israelites, that's in the truth, guess what? You're not exempt from this either. Especially you guys that promote these gimmicks in Israel. You niggas that swinging swords on your live stream. Somehow hit the like button, get those G's up. The Most High got a special judgment for you niggas, man. And it ain't gonna be pretty when he catches up to you. Ezekiel 21. And I'm going to start at verses, let's start at verses, I'm looking at 8 on down, but I want to see what 7 says. Yep, let's start, man. The whole chapter is really good. But let's start at verses 1. It says, and the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face towards Jerusalem and drop thy word towards the holy places. And it ain't talking about no damn raps. All right, Jake dropped the beat. Nah, bro. The Lord had Ezekiel to speak against the wicked elders in Israel. And it says, towards the holy places and prophecy against the land of Israel, and say to the land of Israel, thus says Yahweh, behold, I am against thee, and I will draw forth my sword out of its sheath, and I will cut off from thee the righteous and the wicked. All right, because remember, we was kicked out of our land. All right, and we was dispersed into the four corners of the earth, with a great bulk of the tribes coming over to Central, South, and North America and the islands. It says, seeing then that I will cut off from thee the righteous and the wicked, therefore shall my sword go forth out of his sheep against all flesh from the south to the north. So the Lord is getting ready to do a sweeping agent through Babylon. Okay, it says from the north to the south, or the south to the north. So they're going to deploy troops in every boroughs of this country eventually. And of course, there's going to be resistance. There's going to be militias. There's going to be civil war. That's all warranted in the grand scheme of things. But it's going to be confusion out here, man. You know, it says that all flesh may know that I, Yahweh, have drawn forth my sword out of his sheath, and it shall not return any more. So sigh, therefore, thou son of man, with the breaking of thy loins, and with the bitterness sigh before thy eyes. And it shall be, when they shall say unto thee, wherefore sighest thou? And it says that thou should be answered for the tidings, because it cometh, and every heart should melt, and all hands should be feeble, and every spirit should faint, and all knees should be weak as water. But behold, it coming and should be brought to pass, says the Lord Yahweh. So a mass slaughtering is getting ready to come among our people. All right, and not only our people, you Edomites are getting ready to get caught up in that too. Okay, because you got a lot of devils that think they're exempt from the tenets of martial law. But see, what he don't understand is that Trump is getting ready to come down on anybody that comes against him. And ultimately, it's the elites pushing Trump to do so because they have a lot of dirt on him. Okay, it was coming out that Trump taught Epstein how to traffic. Now, I don't know the ins and outs of that. I didn't really do research on it. But, I mean, at the end of the day, all these devils are operating in that club. Okay, Trump, Biden, fucking all these devils, man. Vance, Zelensky, all these elites, smaller, lower level, greater level elites, they all are involved in some type of scandals. Okay, Denzel said, he said, in order for somebody to trust you, you got to have a little dirt on you. You know why? Because basically, if you don't do what you're told, we're going to leak you out there. All right. But it says, again, the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, prophecy and say, thus says Yahweh, say a sword is sharpened and furbished. It says it is sharpened to make a sword slaughter. It is furbished that it may glitter. Okay. It says, shall we then make mirth? Right. Because they just in a spirit of folly. You know, now reality is setting in because, you know, the benefits being cut, jobs are being lost. You know, Jake is kind of realizing like, wait a minute, man, something ain't right. But regardless of it, you still got a great bulk of our people that's totally oblivious, man. OK, they may watch CNN or MSNBC, but they don't know what's really going on in the world outside of what the news is telling them, because we are under media blackout. We don't get the what's the name of the word I'm looking for? We don't get the exclusive details as to what's really happening all around the world outside of alternative media. Okay, but it says here, a sword is sharpened and also furbished. It reads, it is sharpened to make a sword slaughter. It is furbished that it may glitter. Should we then make mirth? But it reads, it says, it contemneth the rod of my son as every tree, and he have given it to be furbished, that it may be handled. And the sword is sharpened, and it is furbished, and it is giving into the hand of the slayer. And that modern day slayer is nothing more but a Esau Edom. All right, coming in the form of these governments, these elites, and these martial law troops, man. Okay, which they already have on standby. Okay, they've been practicing drill since Jay Helm going back to 2014, 2015. Mock cities, they already have mock cities they set up. Mass surveillance, they know what's what. So it's just a matter of time before they get the go ahead and the green light to just start rolling on you Jakes. And if you tribes ain't out here by you Haitians, you Levites, if you're not out here by the 3rd of September, then they're just going to start deploying ICE into your neighborhoods, and they're going to do what they're going to do to you, man. And that includes bounty hunters as well, because a lot of people are like, well, ICE just grabbing people up and they're not identifying themselves, right? Because Trump has incentivized bounty hunters to work in tandem with ICE, and they don't have to disclose who they are. That's why you've been seeing them with the face covered up, with the mask covered up, and all that other stuff. Those are bounty hunters, man. You know, and it says here, and it says, "And cry and howl, son of man, for it should be upon my people. It should be upon all the princes of Israel. Terror by reason of the sword should be upon my people. Smite therefore upon the thigh." Okay, so it's getting ready to get real sticky real soon. You know.
This is not a thing that's supposed to happen. The military is not used to police the country domestically. That's not a thing. Well, now they made it a
right. The police department is not set up to police domestically either. You had a sheriffs and deputies, man, that did that. But since these cities expanded, Esau was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and create a private security force and let them police the cities and, you know, collect revenue from the people. Because basically cops ain't nothing but shakedown gang. They're a shakedown gang. Okay, if you're getting arrested, it's ultimately over money. You know, notice everything you do, you got to pay a fine behind it because it's about money. It's a business. Okay, it ain't personal to them devils. It's just a business. And you ain't nothing but a number in a system. That's why they can lock your ass up. That's why the judge can give you 300 years and go home at night and rest peacefully while you rotting in jail and your mother getting ready to have a heart attack because she ain't gonna ever see you again. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
They made it a thing. And as per usual, even if the courts step in and say, hey, this is wrong, well, the damage is already done. They already sent, the ICE Gestapo there. They already sent the military there. And they already terrorized the population. They already rounded up a bunch of innocent people. And then eventually, I believe they reduced the number of troops by like half. Like, they're slowly now taking them out of there because there aren't even the mass protests anymore. But, like, this is what's happening. It could be illegal, but if you get a court decision 6 months after the fact, well, what good is that fucking court decision? Right? And now the precedent has been laid that any president can do this. They could just invade the United States of America. And then, use force and coercion and police state tactics and tyrannical tactics for their ends. So this is completely and utterly un-American. It is anti-democratic. It proves that he's a fascist dictator. And now, they looked at what happened in L.A. That was a totally illegal, totally unconstitutional, totally insane, terrorizing the poor population, rounding up innocent people. They look at that and they go, let's do it everywhere. Let's do it in all these major cities. And this is what they're planning. So if you thought it couldn't get worse, this is why I keep saying, I don't know how we survived 4 years of this shit. Every fucking day. It's some new bullshit. Every day. You wake up one day and, they're rounding up innocent people and putting them in a concentration camp. You wake up the next day, you go, oh shit, they're illegally bombing Iran. You wake up the next day, now Israel's annexing the West Bank with the blessing of Trump, right? You wake up the next day, Trump's firing the person who gives the jobs numbers because he didn't like the numbers, and inflation is skyrocketing, but he's going to pretend like it's not. Every day, it's some new shit. And how's he going to handle it when there's dissent? This is how he's going to handle it when there's dissent. What if I send the military to shut you the fuck up? By the way, if you're in the military, if you're in any of these government agencies that are involved in this, you should be ashamed of yourself. You should resign. You should come forward, you should be a whistleblower, and you should explain how this is un-American and this is unacceptable, and he's destroying the United States of America.
Type that in.
I'm sorry, but just following orders is not sufficient. It never was sufficient, but is definitely not sufficient in today's day and age. And that's where we are. All these people have is, I'm just following orders. Well, fuck your orders. Step down. Show some spine. Show some backbone. I know ICE, they got a $160 billion budget or something ridiculous. Now they're hiring people all over this country. They're literally hiring you to terrorize your fellow Americans. That's the job. Put your morality aside, put your ethics aside, be a fucking...
But what he don't understand is if Trump decides to federalize Washington, D.C., that could come with a tandem of suspending the Constitution, and also that could suspend elections because you would be declared under federal emergency, and then he can have a third term. And don't think this devil ain't going for a third term. If this place lasts that long, and we somehow through some type of miracle make it to 2028, this dude is going for a third term. All right, and you better believe if he's planning on going for a third term, you better believe that this place is going to see some type of civil unrest prior to that goddamn election, and he will still be in office as dictator. Okay, I forgot what president, was it FDR? Was it F Roosevelt, Franklin, something FDR? One of them presidents, one of them motherfuckers served like 4 terms, like they would serve like 12 years or something like that. You know, but yeah, that's this is not out of the realm of possibility, especially at this point. This is why the Most High has got to come back and really take this man out, because he's getting ready to lose his damn mind. Revelation 12:12, great wrath, because he knows he have a short time. Jeremiah 51, and I'm gonna start at verses. The start of verses 12. It says, "Set up the standard upon the walls of Babylon, and make the watch strong. Set up the watchmen, and prepare the ambushes. For the Lord have both devised and done that which he spake against the inhabitants of Babylon. Therefore," or it says, "O thou that dwellest upon many waters, abundant in treasures, thy end is come, and the measures of thy covetousness. So the Lord of hosts hath sworn by himself, saying, Surely I will fill thee with men as with caterpillars, and they shall lift up a shout against thee." All right, now, of course, this is going into all these nations invading and taking Babylon, but also these military men, you know, coming through the border back in 2023. What happened to those men, you know, those nationals that came over here that they're not even mentioning anymore? Iranian nationals, Ukrainian nationals, men from Africa, or, you know, Hamitic nationals, you know, but instead they want to focus on Venezuelans and so forth. It's crazy, you know. Second Edges 15, and I'm going to start at verses 14. "Woe to the world and them that dwell therein." It reads, it says, "For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people should stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hand." Okay, civil war. It says, "For there should be sedition among men, invading one another, and they should not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power." Yeah, because people going to get to the point of the hell with this. We're not listening to any government mandates, all right? So they're going to start storming Capitol buildings. They're going to start storming federal buildings. People are going to start hunting down judges. They're going to hunt down lawyers, prosecuting attorneys. People are going to be looking for politicians. They're going to look for people that have made their lives miserable here in Babylon, man. Okay, going back to that shooting that took place last week, I believe in, was it in Manhattan or some part of New York? When allegedly the guy was targeting some NFL, something with the NFL with some shit, which I think is all folly. I think it's all a psyop. But allegedly he was targeting some big shots for whatever reason. And going back into the guy of, what's that dude name that was put to death a couple of months ago, that was over the, that wasn't paying out the insurance claim, that was over that major insurance company. They talking about Luigi gunned the nigga down in cold blood. They put him to death. So that's the norm in Babylon. People were pretty much, they had it. You know, and you politicians, you judges, ain't none of y'all really none of you are in the clear. All right, because eventually this is going to invoke an action among the regular civilians in America, and they're going to start doing things and taking things into their own account. It says, "A man should desire to go into a city or not, should not be able." Martial law. Okay, they're going to be holding territories down. There's going to be war between civilians and troops. It says, "For because of their pride, the city should be troubled, and the houses should be destroyed, and men be afraid." Yeah. All right. So it's getting ready to get real finicky. And for you Israelites out here, just in general, whether you in the truth or not, hey, they getting ready to come down. All right. And remember, the prophets, we warned you. You know, Luke 21, and I'm going to start at verses 20. It says, "And when you should see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh." Okay. It says, well, armies, meaning the military. The Lord said it in Luke 19 that, hey, they're going to lay you even to the ground, and they're going to pretty much, they're going to have their way with you. It's not a pretty time to be a wicked ass Israelite, man. All right. It is not a good time to be a so-called white man either, because you going to get the judgment just as bad as Jake, if not worse. Daniel 12:1, it says, "And at that time shall Michael stand up, and the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people. And there should be a time of trouble, such as was never since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people should be delivered, every one that should be found written in the book." Okay, so this is getting ready to be a time unlike any other, to the point that Michael the archangel is going to have to step in and put a protection to the Lord's elect, because this man is getting ready to lose his mind. All right, to say it that way. But anyway, with that, all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Lords, were you edified to the next lesson? I'm going to let this play out, and then I got another one, and then that'll be that. But with that, Shalom. Oh, yeah, fair use. Shalom.
Fucking Gestapo stormtrooper. Don't do it. Don't take the job. Everybody should fucking mass resign. Nobody should be signing up for this shit. That speaks horribly to our national character that anybody would sign up for these things. And so, resign, man. All these people need to resign. All these people need to speak up. They can only get away with what we let them get away with. And it would be a true sign of solidarity for people to resign in massive numbers and just speak up about what we're witnessing here because, again, I don't know how we survived 4 years of this, but now we're talking about further invasions of the United States of America, our major cities, by our fascist president. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
So today we're going to see how many cards we can buy on the what. App for $100. Just joined a single stream here. Gonna see. Okay, we're at $11.
New executive order just dropped, and it's terrifying. The Trump administration signed an order called Ending Crime and Disorder on America's Streets. That sounds good, right? But here's what it really does. It allows the government to forcibly institutionalize people with mental illnesses, addiction, or anyone who can't care for themselves, especially if they're homeless. It punishes cities that don't criminalize urban camping, loitering, or drug use, and it defunds harm reduction programs in favor of forced treatment, surveillance, and civil commitment. Let me translate that. They're not fixing crime. They're redefining who counts as a threat. Being poor, unhoused, or mentally ill is now considered a public safety crisis. Not something to help, but something to lock up. And the worst part, this order makes it easier for states to override consent, collect private health data, and sweep people off the streets with almost no due process. This isn't law and order. This is some kind of an authoritarian control wrapped in compassion speak. But what do you think?
Trump just signed a truly terrifying executive order to bring back forced institutionalization. Yep, you heard that right. It's truly terrifying and no one is talking about it. I'm Eliza Orland's career public defender for 15 years in Manhattan, and we have to talk about the executive order that they're calling Ending Crime and Disorder on America's Streets. This order specifically targets unhoused people, people with mental illnesses, and people who use drugs. It calls the hundreds of thousands of people experiencing homelessness on a single night endemic vagrancy and frames them as threats to public safety. Trump is using fear to justify locking them away under what he calls civil commitment, aka forced confinement. Here's what the order actually does. First, it directs the Attorney General to overturn federal and state court decisions that protect people from involuntary confinement, essentially gutting due process rights that took decades to secure. Second, it ends housing first policies that have actually worked to reduce homelessness. Instead, it forces people to accept treatment whether they want it or not as a condition of receiving federal housing aid. Third, it prioritizes federal grants for states that enforce bans on urban camping, loitering, and squatting, aka criminalizing the simple act of existing without a shelter. Fourth, it expands civil commitment to anyone deemed a danger to themselves or others, or who cannot care for themselves. Language so vague, it could quite literally apply to anyone experiencing a crisis. This is not about safety or compassion. The order literally says the goal is to protect public safety by removing people from public view. This is about controlled criminalization and disappearing poverty, not solving it. This is mass incarceration 2.0, only now it's dressed up in fake compassion and medical language. We've seen this before. In the era of massive state hospitals, warehousing, and forced sterilization, and we know how this ends. As a career public defender, I've seen what happens when governments use the courts to cage, confine, and criminalize instead of care. If you're as horrified as I am, share this video and follow me. If you're interested, I can break down every section of this executive order piece by piece, because this isn't just cruel, this is calculated, and we need to understand exactly what we're fighting against.